Coming from NetPicks headquarters, it's the Day Trading Authority with Mark Soberman and Brian Short.
All right, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us for the latest installment of the NetPicks Day Trading Authority. This is Mark Soberman, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, Brian Short. Brian, hello, and are you out there?
Mark, I'm out here, and it's good to be back. It's been a while. Looking forward to another podcast session.
It has been a while. I don't know how this happened, but here we are when we're recording this. We're in July, and it's, we were doing a pretty good job about getting these out on a regular basis, and then I guess all of a sudden life and trading happened. But we do have a pretty good excuse for it, something that we released to the public here actually back in June. Pretty much consumed every waking moment of the day and night for myself and Brian and really our team. So a big part of what we're going to talk about today has to do with that, why we sort of dove into that degree and dedicated ourselves to launching something that we probably have resisted launching for a very long time. So we have our excuses, we have our reasons, but I'm definitely glad that you guys are with us again. And we're here to share some, what I hope will be some really great information for you active traders out there, you day traders or active traders, whatever you want to call yourself, and that's what we're here for today. So a couple quick housekeeping things, just so you know, you can always go to netpicks.com/podcast, P-O-D-C-A-S-T, if you want to hear prior issues, versions, podcasts, whatever you call these things, that's always out there. Of course, in the iTunes store, we always welcome you to download us there. Give us an absolutely wonderful review. That is always nice as well. If you're learning anything from this, we hope, of course, that you are. A couple other quick reminders. We always do interviews with other experts in the trading world. So if you're ever interested in those, you just go to netpicks.com/interview, and you can sign up to participate in the next one live. And a little bit later in this podcast, you're going to be hearing from Richard Weissman, who wrote the book called Trade Like a Casino. And it's a really fascinating book, and it talks a lot about managing risk and relays a lot of it to, as you can imagine, the casino, which might surprise you, but you'd be amazed how much actually correlates from trading to actually, doing the best you can in a casino and controlling your risk and your emotions and everything else. So you can join us live for the next one as well. But Brian, really what I wanted to talk about a little bit today is why we launched the latest project that we're heavily involved in. And for the people who don't really know what that is, it's called Premier Trader University. And if you want to find out more about that and learn a little bit more about it, there's a whole bunch of free information, articles, screenshots, trades, etc. on that website. And it's just premiertraderuniversity.com. But the real main reason for starting that is those of you who know NetPicks for a long time, been around since the mid-90s, we've always been about system development. And I'll be perfectly honest, in some ways we sort of assumed that people came to us with the knowledge base and with the education, and they could take the tools and the systems that we offered and go on their merry way and trade profitably. And Brian, let me ask you, is that always the case in your experience?
Well, Mark, unfortunately, no, it's not the case. As you mentioned, we assumed that we would put a strategy in the hands of a trader. That strategy would have an edge, and it was our assumption that they could take that and execute upon that strategy and, extract profits out of the market. But for many, many different reasons, and I think each individual is different, they were not capitalizing on the strategies we put out. And so we just got frustrated with it. I know you and I sat in a strategy meeting almost a year ago, and we're trying to solve this very problem. And so Premier Trader University is the answer to that problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. And that's exactly how I would say it, because the problem that's been driving me crazy a little bit, and I realize this is a little bit of a rant, is a lot of people come to us and they are completely worn out. They have spent thousands of dollars on trading stuff. Maybe I could say the word gimmicks, whatever the case may be. They've lost all that money. Then they've traded a lot of money with those gimmicks. They've lost all that money. Then they've went ahead and maybe even put in a fair amount of time in the beginning because, when you're new to something, you're so enthusiastic. And I know a lot of you listening, this is you. And it was me too. Back in the past, I was in the same place, kind of a little bit despondent about my trading. And, you put a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And it's stressful. And it's very, there's a lot of anxiety that comes with trading. Unfortunately, what we were finding is by the time they found us, we were just getting this large group of paralyzed people. And let me tell you, there's nothing more frustrating than people finally finding you, and we think finally we have a solution for them, and they are able to do nothing with it like you've told me. I can't tell you how many times you've told me, hey, I just had a call with a guy, and I can't believe it. He bought this, bought that. In fact, he bought one of our systems. He bought our Ultimate Swing Trader. And we'll call him Ken, and Ken just says, Brian, why should I buy this next course? Because you know what, I bought the UST from you. Oh, and by the way, and you were telling me that you would ask, hey, how's it going? And Ken will go, I don't know. It's on my shelf. I haven't tried it yet. It drives me crazy that there are so many people who have reached the point where they're still desperate for answers, but unfortunately they're out of patience. They can't take the stress and the anxiety, and maybe in some cases they're out of funds. I mean, I know you constantly tell me stories like this. I mean, is this something you've been experiencing more and more, or is it just a current thing, or am I just thinking that this is something that has been going on forever, but I'm just starting to notice it more?
Well, I think, Mark, to be honest, it's gone on for a long time. And, traders, I think, have a mindset that instant gratification, we do live in a fast food society. We want that instant gratification. And if we don't get it right away from whatever product we're purchasing, in this case, a trading methodology, if we don't get that, we're very easily distracted. There's so many other aspects to trading that can interfere with your success. And the goal of Premier Trader University is to train our traders on that, expose those areas. We're sharing from our experience over the years because we've been through the same process ourselves. And it's that learning process that we're trying to impart to those members that come in to the university and help them get on a fast track to get going, get profitable, and become ultimately a successful trader.
Yeah, I mean, I think if people could just, during this podcast, if we could do a little bit of maybe just kind of repeat back after me, if you could, at this point, tell yourself there is no plug and play trading. I mean, literally repeat it to yourself. Give up on that. There is no get-rich-quick trading. Give up on it. There is no 100% success trading. None of that exists out there. However, we actually are in what I think is the greatest occupation out there. And I've said this before because this is the carrot for everybody. Can you name another business that you can double in size by literally pressing a different number on your keyboard? If you're listening to this and you own small businesses, if you're involved in a corporation, if you've done marketing, think how hard it is to double your business today. Whether you're a professional, a doctor, a lawyer, CPA, doesn't matter. It's a lot more time, it's a lot more effort, it's a lot more money. Well, when it comes to trading, all I have to do is buy one more contract. Instead of buying one, I buy two. Literally, I move my finger over, a couple centimeters on the keyboard, and I've just doubled my business. So what I tell people is, look, it's going to take work, it's going to take effort, it's going to take some time, but isn't it worth it knowing that you can double, triple, quadruple your business without even moving in your seat, without literally maybe just moving your hand or your arm over just a little bit on the keyboard? If you constantly remember that and remind yourself of that, and remind yourself that you're in the greatest occupation that there is, you have no employees, you have none of all of the grief that goes with that, you don't have to worry about real estate. In fact, you don't have to worry about the economy like everybody else is worrying. With trading, we can buy, we can sell, we can make money in either direction. Use all that for your enthusiasm, your motivation, but give up on the fact that it's going to be, like Brian, like you mentioned, this plug and play easy thing and it's going to happen overnight. So the whole idea behind Premier Trader University was to truly create, a curriculum. And we've modeled it after something that's worked for eons with people, which is a college or a university. And that means taking people through from the prerequisites, making sure everybody has all the basics, to the point where we go through what we call an undergraduate education, right to picking your major, which means you do need to specialize. You need to specialize in futures, you need to specialize in Forex, or you need to specialize in stock and options. Eventually, can you double major and triple major? Of course you can. But that's advanced stuff, right? Most people are all over the place, so we're going to force people to go through the basics, the undergraduate, choosing the major, and then what I'll sort of call the advanced training. The beauty of it with Premier Trader University is the fact that we're kind of forcing you to sort of kind of shake free a little bit of that paralysis. You really need to attend the classes. We expect you to attend just like in college. Hopefully most of you actually attended your classes. You know, we want you to be engaged. We want you to be practicing. We want you to be, you know, working in the markets. And there's a lot of back and forth, and it's truly an interactive experience. I just don't think anymore that as a company like NetPicks, we can just sell people indicators and sell people systems and expect them to really kind of be able to make it work. And I'm not saying that everybody listening, right, is necessarily lazy, but we actually do have a lot of lazy people out there. And mostly it's because you've been kind of beaten down by your experiences before maybe finding us or, you know, really knuckling down. So I think the real key is the last thing I ever want to hear is it's on the shelf and I've done nothing. Because you know what, even if you have a bad system, you'd be amazed how much you can learn just by putting it to use, even if it's just in demo or virtual. I've learned a ton on some really crappy approaches to trading because it's been the thing that's inspired me to come up with, you know, fresh ideas. I mean, that's really many times, for me personally, the difference maker. I was reading a book recently, Brian. It was it's by an author called Brendan Burchard, and it's called The Charge. And it's all about really motivation. And you know, I find in trading, it's not always easy to stay motivated because, you know, I like to say, you know, I feel I'm successful in trading, but I have my share of losing trades, losing days, losing weeks, and, you know, no matter how optimistic you are, it can beat you down. I mean, there's no question about it. And he talks about a formula that a lot of people just kind of get paralyzed with, and it's pretty simple. It's understand, perform, and master. And most people rarely get off of the understand part of the equation. I mean, I guess once again, since Brian talks to so many people who are in that sort of learning phase, I mean, why do you think it is? Why do people get so paralyzed and don't even get off that first step? You know, what is it? What happens?
Yeah, Mark, I would say fear is probably the biggest driving factor for the lack of success in traders. They'll buy, you know, a new strategy. They might buy one of our strategies. And even though that strategy gives them an edge in the marketplace, they'll experience a series of losing trades. And it's amazing to me how easily a trader will throw out a methodology when you have 2 or 3 losing trades in a row. And that might be very normal for that strategy. It might be just a part of doing business. But yet the trader jumps to the next strategy that they might think will do better. And their bottom line, there's no way to avoid losses, and that's probably one of the most difficult things in trading, is to accept loss, accept the fact that the method is wrong on that particular trade or series of trades. And so it's that consistency, I think, that's probably one of the driving factors why traders don't have success. They just continually jump from one strategy to the next when they don't get the success factor that they're looking for.
I mean, I think that nails it. I mean, I think, you know, if you guys are listening to this podcast, you have got to make a pledge to yourself that the next strategy, system, education you go through, you know, yeah, I hope it's with PTU, which is Premier Trader University, but whatever it is, make the commitment to fully be 100% competent with that strategy. You have no idea if it's going to work for you or not until you get to that level where you can say, I'm 100% competent with this approach. I fully understand it. If you don't have that, you'll never have confidence. And if you don't have confidence in trading, it will never work for you. You'll be nothing but somebody who's loaded with stress and anxiety, and you'll be that guy who's always jumping out way too soon in the good trades, staying in way too long in the bad trades, and you'll be the one throwing away another system in the garbage. And you know what? That may have been the one that could have changed your life, but you will never know because you did not stick with it and did not get to the point where you're fully 100% competent with it. Then you can get to the point where you start to perform. And, it takes me a while. I mean, when I'm trading a strategy, I'm not 100% perfect with it because I've got to sort of retrain my mind to turn it into a reflex. And, that takes some time. You can't just read it in a book and immediately do it in the markets with complete reflex. But with some practice and by being competent and by being confident, now I'm able to perform, and now I'm able to get to the point where I can actually master the strategy. And you know what? The anxiety starts to fade. The stress starts to fade. Yeah, some of the cruddy days, they still happen. But you'd be amazed how much easier it is to deal with those days by being empowered with this overall. And that's why I think, again, the education element is so important. We really kind of ignored that for really the whole history of the business. And even though we felt we were educating and teaching, we always would say, we're going to allow other people and other books and other experiences sort of, develop those skills for people, and we'll provide the great systems. What we realized is you've got to have a great system, but you also have to have great education, and you definitely have to have tremendous support and a real interactivity. And I think that's what we've really done. I think the other big thing that was sort of the breakthrough moment for us is we were working with some people, probably even some of you, and you guys were super dedicated, putting in the time, working your butts off, but this became kind of your life, and that's all there was in your life was trading. And I've gone down that road before too, where this is all-consuming. Unfortunately, that's not a healthy thing either. So, we decided to come up with something we call lifestyle trading. And, you may be, well, what is lifestyle trading? And that's what I'm telling people now. I go, I want you to now start telling people when they say, hey, what do? Don't say you're a day trader. Don't say you're an investor. Say I'm a lifestyle trader. And a lifestyle trader is very simple. You trade for your living. You trade for your part-time income. You trade for your retirement. Whatever the reasons are that you trade, but you balance it with your current lifestyle. And I hope it actually improves your lifestyle, because the other thing I think we realized is we had some people who were doing well, but all they were doing were trading, and there was just massive burnout happening. You can't trade Forex, the Asian session, the European session, the US session, and do it for an unsustainable amount of time. I mean, Brian, I know you can speak to this firsthand. I think we talked about it briefly in another podcast, but remind us of what your life used to be like trading Forex.
Yeah, Mark. It was a grind for me for 3 years. I would trade the European session starting at 2 a.m. in the morning and going till about 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the prime time for the European session. And the problem with that is I would have a little bit of a break there, but then I would get up at 7 for the day and do the normal business, and then repeat that all over again the next day. Well, that is not engaging the market as a lifestyle trader. It was really outside of what I would call my comfort zone, and so it took 3 years, but at the end of that it was like, I need to trade when it's convenient for me as a trader. And so it was at that point that I started to trade futures and engage the market for a couple of hours in the morning. Get in, get out, get done. We use power of quitting. I use power of quitting in my trade plan so that on some days I'm potentially done in a few minutes, literally. There are other days that it takes me the entire 2 hours. Yeah, that's my story, and for me, and I think as traders, we've all kind of gone through that. We see the opportunity out there. The Forex market's 24 hours, 5.5 days a week that it's available. And it gets promoted sometimes by brokers that, you can trade when you want. And you can to a degree. But rather than trade, that entire 24 hours, find a slice of time that fits your lifestyle and fits into your schedule so that, you can get in, get out of the market and have a profitable trading business.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of really nails it on the head too, because it's interesting. We have a section here in the podcast that'll be coming up where, and we'll be doing it here in a moment, and we call it kind of in good fun, Tales from the Stupid, and then also our Genius segment. And a lot of what you're talking about there, Brian, towards the end with, fitting your personality and your time of day, actually is the messaging that I had for what I kind of consider the sort of the genius moment for me with my personal trading, because we get asked about what we trade quite a bit why, why we make those choices. So I'll kind of, close this portion of it by saying, check out premiertraderuniversity.com. There's a lot of neat stuff on there, some cool trading lessons, screenshots. We teach you a lot of things. Attend one of the webinars if you want. Like I said, there's no obligation or anything like that. I just think, it's something that you can learn more about it and learn about this style of education, this style of training. It may be literally the breakthrough that you've been looking for, but either way, it's just worth checking out and seeing what you think overall. So I think this is probably a good point to move on to our next section, which we call Tales from the Stupid.
Tales from the Stupid.
All right, Brian, so I'm going to go ahead and kick this one off, and I'm going to talk about my tale from the stupid. And if you've listened to the prior podcasts, usually we relay something we've done in our personal trading that, well, actually probably turns out to be one of the dumber things we've done in a while, and it almost always leads to losses. But you know what? As a trader, you learn from it, and hopefully you don't do it again at least another 14 times, maybe only 13 times. And you learn from it. But the thing that I was thinking about a little bit is since we're talking about education, and we do feel that we're educators, we're trainers, we have this knowledge base from being in this business for 17 years. And one of the things that in a way that I think is sort of some of the stupidity on my side is I do feel a lot of pressure from our customer base to constantly cater to Forex traders. A lot of people have been sort of sold that the way you make money as an individual trader is Forex, and I'm not here to tell you that that's not necessarily the case, but what I am here to tell you is that day trading Forex is one of the hardest things possible in trading. I meet and talk to very few people who are doing it successfully, yet we actually encounter a lot of people who are able to get to the point of mastery on day trading futures, and certainly swing trading stocks and swing trading options. We talk to a lot of people who are actually doing that successfully. And I definitely run into and even train a lot more people to be successful swing trading Forex. But I think everybody feels like, I want to trade the Euro US dollar or the pound yen or the Euro yen, and I want to day trade it, and I want to be in and out in 20 minutes. And as it turns out, one of the stupider things that I think we've done is do our best to try to really satiate that demand and come up with things that they could do, all kind of knowing, what, you're really putting in way too much time in something that's going to be extremely difficult to be successful. So the thing that I'm really been focusing on a lot recently is if you're a Forex person, I'm trying to get you to swing trade Forex and not to day trade Forex. If I could probably leave you with any advice from this podcast, if you're a Forex guy, is stop trying to make money day trading. The spreads are no good, the scalping, the locked up platforms, the news, so many things go wrong trying to day trade Forex that really don't happen many times when you're swing trading Forex. And also open your eyes a little bit to some opportunity that's not in Forex. And I actually think there's amazing opportunities on the future side and even on stock and options. So for me, maybe it's not a personal thing with my personal trading because I don't day trade Forex. I can tell you that much. I swing trade it, but why don't I? You may want to ask, why don't I? If it's easy, wouldn't I be doing it? The answer is yeah. So that's mine. Brian, what about for you?
Well, mine actually comes from one of our students and members here at NetPicks, and so the moral of the story, I'm going to give you that first, and then I'm going to tell you what happened for him. But really, what I would recommend you do as a trader is practice, 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 okay? And what I mean by that, you're going to, one, practice the methodology in real time. In other words, identifying the trade setups and then taking those trade setups and putting them into your platform to execute, whatever that platform might be. It could be TradeStation, the Matrix. It could be NinjaTrader and their Dome. It might be another broker that you're placing those trades into. The area I want to focus on in this particular conversation is the execution part with your broker. Make sure that you have practiced that process in a demo mode over and over again, and it becomes reflexive for you. And what I mean by that is it's just automatic. You don't have to sit there and think about it. What happened with this particular customer is he normally trades 3 to 4 contracts in crude oil. And on this particular day, by way of a single miss key, he traded 15 contracts in one trade. Well, needless to say, that did not work out so well for him. And in fact, he was down significantly within just a few seconds by just a miss keystroke, one single miss keystroke. So again, I go back to my point is, as traders, this is a skill like any other skill you're going to learn. You know, if you become a doctor, you have to practice. If you're a pilot, you don't jump in the seat of a 747 and just take off. And I think too many traders today do exactly that. They get a new shiny strategy, and as soon as they take the cover off of it, they're trading it live, and that's the wrong thing to do. So practicing demo mode is very important in the process. Make sure you have a good understanding of your methodology. Make sure, more importantly in this particular story, that you have a good understanding of your broker interface and how to execute trades.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's funny because in the news recently when we're doing this, there's been several stories about these mistakes, and some of these have been multi-billion-dollar mistakes that have been going on. So granted, in this gentleman's case, it wasn't multi-billions, but at the same time, he wasn't a hugely rich corporation who can maybe withstand that type of mistake. And you always think, well, maybe we may make those mistakes. Surely a big company, wouldn't. But it just shows you how easy it is to kind of have that slip up. So, great point. You can never practice enough. You can never be more careful in your trading. So, yeah, definitely a key thing. So let's talk a little bit about the flip side of this, which, we all do some dumb things, but we also do some really smart things, and that's all about the genius in trading. Genius. So for me, I mentioned, Brian, just a bit ago, you were talking a little about, finding the things that fit for you, and really that's been probably the smartest thing that I've done. And I really encourage people, because we've been getting this question a lot in PTU, Premier Trader University, is, well, Mark, Brian, etc., what markets should I trade? I mean, I'm located in Australia, or I'm in the UK, or I'm in the US, or I'm in Canada. And we start to tell people, you got to look at several different things. You have to look at where you're located, the size of your account, but you also have to look at your personality, what you're going to, really enjoy trading, what fits your style. I've got people on the team here at NetPicks who absolutely love slower pace, swing trading. I've realized in my life that's not really me. I kind of am a bit of that instant gratification kind of person. So I've tried to find some ways that I can balance that a little bit in my trading. So, I don't want to do things wrong and end up with another tale from the stupid, but at the same time, I have to understand, hey, this is who I am. So like when I tell people, look, I trade crude oil, there's a reason I trade crude oil. It moves quickly, it has really good leverage, it has a lot of trades in a short amount of time. I don't have 4 hours a day to trade because we're running this business as well. I trade the DAX futures because I get all those good things, the leverage, the movement, the speed, and I can do it in some off hours. People sometimes go, well, Mark, why don't you trade in the afternoon as well? Why don't you trade the S&P mini? It's got all that volume, because it doesn't fit my personality. It doesn't fit time of day. I just mentioned Forex day trading. You know what? That doesn't work for me. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to sit there for 3 hours, which you need to sometimes when you day trade Forex because it moves so slowly sometimes. But you know what? I could swing trade it, no problem. I don't mind coming in at night and changing my stop and my targets and placing a buy stop. So for me, that's been the biggest thing that has made the biggest difference in my trading, is realizing I cannot trade everything. I don't have to trade everything. I just need to focus in on the market, even if it's just one, or the markets that fit me best. And I think that's what you have to do as well. And my answer is not necessarily your answer. And too many people try to, follow maybe what we do exactly, and then they realize it's not for them. I don't think because I trade a certain market, everybody should be trading a certain market. The other thing is that I never think of my trading as, and this drives me crazy when people come to us and say this, Mark, I want to make $500 a day. Mark, I want to make $1,000 a day. I never view my trading in that context. So I am trading the markets that work for me, the times of day that work for me, and I have absolutely zero expectations on a given day other than I'll trade it correctly and the odds will be in my favor that every trade will work, which means a lot of trades won't, but the odds will be in my favor more times than not that something will end favorably, and I have absolutely no financial expectations that I put onto the market. So for me, that's really been something that has been a breakthrough. How about for you, Brian?
Yeah, mine comes from today, actually, and in talking with one of the rooms that we do for PTU, we had a pretty good discussion about when to engage the market and when not to engage the market. And at the time of this podcast, it is July 3rd, so tomorrow is a U.S. holiday, July 4th. And to be honest, the price action this week has been really subdued. What we talked about this morning is, engage the market under your terms. If you are trading around or near a holiday, just understand that the market is probably not going to act the same as it does during normal business hours. And you just need to keep that in mind. I think too many traders are stubborn and they say, I'm going to plow through anyways and trade. And you know what? You might do okay through it, but I think more time than not, there's a lot of stress that comes from a very slow, choppy market in that condition. We don't have all the players up to the plate, so to speak, making trades. There are some traders that are off during this time. So my recommendation there is anytime before and after a holiday, whether it's in the U.S. zone, the Eurozone, just be aware of that the market probably is not going to operate the exact same way that it does under normal business terms. So that's my advice from today.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Confession, I'm the worst at that. I a lot of times logically know I shouldn't, and I shouldn't trade, and I force it anyway because there is a little something that goes through my head. I don't want to miss out. I don't want to make that conscious decision to stand aside, and then sure enough, that's going to be the day that it would have been super easy, and all three markets go to full target, et cetera, et cetera. So what I've learned, and I can tell you what I did today, is, for instance, again, understanding my market and personality. I know in the past I've looked at crude oil, and it happens to typically move pretty good, even on these sessions where it's a half day, where the markets are closing early. So I traded the crude oil. I got a full target out of it, but you better believe that I stopped at that point and I was done. I was very much ready also to exit that trade when it started to stall on its way to my target, because I'm like Brian mentioned, I had a little different expectations on it today. Now it got there, but believe me, that stop was a much tighter than I would have made it on most days. What I did not do was the indexes like the Russell E-mini was in a slow-moving grind. It actually was in a trade that I could have what we call gotten in sync with. I was like, you know what, Mark, be smart here today. This thing's going to keep grinding. It may eventually get to target, and I think it actually worked out, but it took like hours. The same with the gold futures, which I like to trade sometimes. It just did not behave the same way. So I think for once, I actually identify the markets that typically behave good in these situations, and I did stand aside, like Brian mentioned. Pretty happy for doing that, and it is something that you've got to develop that discipline. I'm not here telling you that it's easy, because look, I struggle with it as well, but it's a great point and it's very timely for sure. So what we like to do at this point now is we're going to go ahead and play for you part of an interview that we did here recently with Richard Weissman. He's the author of a really great trading book called Trade Like a Casino, Find Your Edge, Manage Risk, and Win Like the House. So we've got a short part of the overall interview, and then of course you can go to netpicks.com/interview to both sign up for the next ones coming up in our author series, as well as hear the full interview if it's something that that you really like to hear. So with that, let me go ahead and we'll switch over and we'll hear my interview with Richard.
Yeah, I think you also kind of add to that. I think you say that you should add some trader intuition. Of course, that comes with experience. At NetPicks, we always say it's sort of the art of trading. We like to say we've got 90% mechanical and 10% is sort of the art of trading. Or I guess in your case, when you sort of discussed the intuition, because you make the point a little bit later in the book that while mechanical trading can be really quite robust, it does underperform the very best discretionary traders, but then you go on to say that using mechanical systems is still the most reliable way to sort of turn negative to positive expectancies for most traders. So I mean, it does seem like that's the place to be. Definitely having that full rule set, knowing what to do in every situation. I know in my personal trading, if I didn't really have a rule for every situation, emotionally alone, anxiety, psychologically, it would be really, really difficult. And then how do you get through the losing streaks? How do you even know when to trail, when to exit out, without those rules. But I think a lot of people, go into trading without all that defined. It's kind of like when we offer them one of our systems like the 7 Summits Trader, and it's all spelled out for them. It's still difficult to follow. It's still very hard for people to actually follow those rules, despite it being, there's a perfect roadmap that they should follow. I think still most people have a hard time doing that.
Yeah, in the book I outline the 3 stages of a trader's career, assuming they stick with it. In the beginning, unless you're a market maker or you're working for commercial interest, just hedging, so you're equal and opposite to the physical, the beginning stage of a career of a trader is losing money. And the key point is, how do we get from the losing camp into the winning camp? Mechanical trading systems are the safest, most reliable way of making that transition. Once you've transitioned into the winning camp, now you're an intermediate stage trader, where you have the ability to succeed, you have the confidence, and generally that confidence comes from a mechanical trading system, in your ability to survive long term, and that is a great leap forward in trading. A couple of the limitations to that stage in your career are that you've just come from the world of losing, and so you can be kind of gun shy. You have the discipline where you're going to continue to trade, but you're not optimizing your opportunities because fresh in your mind was how easy it was to lose. So the 1% rule can act as a double-edged sword. It can prevent you from becoming over-leveraged, but it can also, when things are going well, force you to maximize the opportunities that are out there and at your access. The other thing about the intermediate stage in a trader's career is that, generally speaking, it will be accompanied by a single methodology or a single model that works. So in other words, I think in the book I use the analogy of someone lost at sea, struggling to survive in the open ocean, and suddenly they find a life raft, and that life raft is the mechanical trading system. And so they cling to it like grim death, because they know if they let go of that life raft, they're going to be drowning in the water again. But once an ocean liner comes along, you get rid of the life raft, because you have something more robust. And that's the transition from intermediate to advanced stage. And that could be the augmentation of, let's say you were unsuccessful, finally you find a model that works for you. It's a trend following model, and again, you cling to it like grim death. But it's very easy to become complacent and say, finally, I've got something that works. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to stick right here. But growth and development as a trader entails expansion and thinking outside of the box and continuing to evolve as a trader. And so one of the ways that I've found that's successful in terms of getting someone beyond that first inertia point as an intermediate trader is, if you found success as a trend follower, go on and move and accentuate that success by using counter trend systems. And again, in the beginning, just start doing research on mechanical trading systems that are counter trend, and then as you get more confidence and you begin to see success, take it up to the 1% risk, and suddenly now you have 2 tools at your access. And then finally, the real kind of foray into what I would call the advanced trader stage is where you're able to augment all these mechanical systems with trader intuition. And that just comes from experience. You see enough data points, you get enough data points under your belt. And I think in the book I use the analogy of the horror movie. Right. That when the first time you see The Exorcist, you don't know what the hell's going to happen, and you're scared out of your wits, and by the 100th time you see it, you're laughing. It's a comedy because you know exactly what's going to happen, and it loses all of its emotional charge. That's the way trading is. You get enough data points under your belt, and you see the way markets react when they get some, overblown piece of news that they overreact to it, and you get an intuition of, at the very least, take some off here, move my stop to break even, or potentially, even be more aggressive and fade the action. Buy the rumor, sell the news is the cliche.
Yeah, I was trying to think here at NetPicks, like with our systems, I don't think we have any, as I was sort of going through them in my mind, that are just trend or just counter trend, the way that as I'm thinking it through, everyone has both, because same thing, I just don't think we could have any, any kind of regular continued success if we had just one or the other. There's definitely extended periods of time where the market is just in an amazing trend, and if you have a trend-based system, you're going to absolutely clean up, but unfortunately that always ends and it starts to go sideways, whether you're a day trader or a swing trader or a long-term trader. So I mean, I'm a big proponent of that. I completely agree, you have to have both. I think if you don't, I think you'll eventually, even if you're doing well now, I think eventually you're going to end up losing at that point. There's an interesting, a little bit later in the book as well, and it's one of the ratios I think it's kind of rarely talked about, and it was kind of funny because recently I was looking at a sort of a managed trading site for Forex, and it was, individuals were able to get into and choose from literally hundreds of different managers. It's, it seemed like a really slick idea. But I started going through some of the numbers, and there definitely were some good managers, but there were a lot of people with very nice profits, but they had some pretty outrageous drawdowns. And so you talk about this one ratio, and I'm not sure how many traders even think about this, but it's profit to maximum drawdown ratio. So basically taking the net profit to the drawdown, and of course you want that to be as high as possible. I guess one question I would have is, do you typically look at that ratio when you think about that as far as like annual profits, monthly profits, all-time profits? Because obviously that ratio can get skewed quite a bit based upon the time frame that we're looking at. Kind of what's your take on that? I think it's such an important number.
Yeah, the way I run it myself in my own trading journal is that I run it as two separate numbers. I run the monthly profit to maximum drawdown ratio, and then I also run a cumulative profit to maximum drawdown ratio. And so on the monthly, you're going to see the numbers varying quite a bit, and you'll have a different criteria of what is robust. Like a 0.2 might even be robust on a given month. In general, you want to see, a 2.0 might even be robust. Generally, you want to see like a 3 or a 3.5. But on the cumulative, that's going to, once you have the maximum drawdown, that could be the maximum drawdown for years, and the profits will keep accumulating over time as you get more and more profitable months under your belt. So there, depending on how long the time frame is, you want to see some really strong numbers like 7s, 8s, 9s, even higher, in order to know that you've got something robust. So the longer the time frame, the higher that profit to maximum drawdown ratio should be. So let's say on a 10-year back test, you want to see numbers in the 7s, 8s in order to say that it's anything worthwhile, worth pursuing.
Yeah, I think that's really critical, because when I was going through and sort of analyzing some of these very, overall bottom line positive results, it may be like they would show like a monthly average of maybe $5,000 and then a max drawdown of, let's say, $10,000. And I was like, it's horrible, but everybody gets taken in, because then you would see, it would say, okay, over the last year, they've made 242%, they've made $100,000 on this size account. Then I went in and would look at the comments from the individuals who are following, let's say, this provider, and they're just left and right slamming the person if they caught it in that drawdown. But it's kind of like I'm sort of thinking, wait a minute, the numbers were there for you. You already saw that that ratio could get very bad and very poor, yet the moment things go wrong, it's, like a complaining session about how awful this is. But I think it's because a lot of people don't pay attention to that, what you have, the P to the MD, profit to maximum drawdown. If you cannot handle the 0.5, like, you were mentioning, then, you never should be trading that way. And I think for most people, they shouldn't touch really a system like that, because as much as you think you could be brave in front of it, you're not going to be brave in front of that. It's just once you're doing it in real time, everything kind of gets thrown out the window.
Right. Yeah, I remember reading somewhere that someone did a study and found that 62% of all people are optimists, and it's a tricky thing because trading is it's kind of it's the backwards profession. Every other profession, confidence and optimism are seen as key, and trading is a balancing act. Simultaneously, you have to have confidence in your ability to develop a positive expectancy model. But on any particular trade, on every single trade, you have to be a pessimist. Every trade that you take, you have to think this is going to lose. And that's what people don't do. They think, oh, well, I don't need to be successful in the long run as long as I can make $1 million on this next trade. But again, that next trade could be an absolute washout. So it could be that it's a positive expectancy model, but you're not able to stick around long enough to enjoy the fruits of all that research because you're betting it all on the first trade.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the podcast. I appreciate you guys, having a lot of patience for us to get another issue, another version out of the podcast, but I actually think we touched on some really big issues here. I've got to believe you walk away with something here, some kind of eye-opener, some motivation, some enthusiasm, maybe a behavior that you'll be able to correct. If you can walk away with one thing, I think that would be great from the time you spent with us here today. Just to kind of reiterate a few URLs for you, a few links, netpicks.com/podcast. Certainly to see if you want to listen to any of our past podcasts, they're there as well, or download those in iTunes. And PremierTraderUniversity.com. Definitely go there, check that out as well, see what's the latest and the greatest from myself and from Brian. So again, appreciate everybody being here. As always, feel free to contact us, send us your questions. If you have anything you'd like us to cover in a future podcast, we'd always love to hear from you, and we'll do our best to include that. Brian, any closing comments for the folks?
No, it was good to get back at it again, and look forward to the next one.
Super, and this time we promise we won't wait this long in between. We're not launching another university, that much I know, anytime soon. So we'll get to you guys with another podcast soon. Great trading, and talk to you all soon.